You're listening to the Unreasonable Fridays podcast network.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Good afternoon. There's another episode of Ad Space. I'm your host, Aaron Rand Freeman, and with me, the actual host, the most delicious name in podcasting, Elise Bacon. Bacon, how are you?
Hi, I'm sure I exist.
Was that in question?
It feels like it. Am I here? Who are we really?
I like the fact.
What time is this? What day is it?
The day is currently Saturday, May 20, whatever, and the time is currently 10 a.m. Central Time. So that goes to show that all of this is a construct, and only our consciousness can be assured. My
Pusheen cat calendar was on May 22nd, so it must be the 23rd.
Was it? What's today's the 23rd? Oh,
yeah.
Today's the 23rd. Yeah, exactly. I lost the whole day 22nd.
Listen, I had to have my medication dosage increased, and I went from literally sleeping all day to just like randomly, like I'll just be doing stuff and I'm like, I need to sleep now it's time to go. Just like arbitrarily throughout the day. My sense of time is a little bad.
I mean, time is a construct. And the more I think about it, time is a construct mostly for other people to lash you for being lazy, air quotes. Like that seems to be the sole purpose of time. Was like when you have time, you sleep too late and someone says you slept too late. Or
my cat tells me I sleep too late.
What'd you say?
My cat tells me I sleep too late.
Well, you gotta feed her more. If you gave her more treats, you wouldn't care. But
she gets her regularly scheduled treats.
Have you considered giving her extra treats? Like I feel like you're not thinking about this from the cat's perspective. You're only thinking about this from a regimented before times perspective where you had like regimented time-based things that happened. No, you give your cat a treat upwards of 27 times a day, randomly, much to your cat's delight. No. You feed her nothing but wet food, and
she gets wet food. She can't eat anything other than wet food.
Right, but have you considered feeding her 6 times a day?
No, she's not allowed to have that.
Right, then this
if she did that, she would turn into a balloon.
Right, then that's why she considers she says that you thinks that you sleep too much. However, we have a guest.
We have a guest. You know this guest. It's one of our favorite guests.
Best guest.
Hello. It's a guest from another Unreasonable. Welcome, fellow Unreasonable. Najela.
Hi. You guys can't see this because it's a podcast when I'm doing like the princess wave.
Yes.
Which is great on a medium where visuals aren't considered. But hi, how are you guys doing? I'm so happy to be here.
I consider all guests when they're introduced to be doing jazz hands, and if they are not doing the jazz hands themselves, and there are hands being produced to generate the jazz, so it's fun.
I'm not gonna lie, my favorite is Justin. Whenever he's on, he's just got like this like very stoic yet amused expression on his face, and it just gives me life. It's really funny.
I've been doing a lot of jazz hands lately, mostly because I live on Twitch Sings, and you have to do jazz hands a surprising amount.
Wait, you have to do jazz hands on Twitch Sings?
Well, because they have like challenges for Twitch Sings to like mess you up while you're singing, and your audience votes on them. And if you give people a choice between anything and jazz hands, they're gonna pick jazz hands.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I actually like jazz hands, but yeah.
I mean, the options are like make a kissy face, sing while holding your nose, which if you're singing properly should not change anything. But yeah, so that or jazz hands, you can do jazz hands. Or sing like a goblin or something. Like, what do goblins sound like?
have to listen to it. Justin's probably gonna listen to this episode going, "Oh my god, bacon."
Oh, this is the goblin music. Oh, okay, this is perfect. Okay, good.
That music sounds exactly like what is happening is happening.
No, exactly.
Mostly because I've watched, admittedly, way too much kaiju fighting Zentai warrior kind of things. And that usually is the music that they play when assembling. It kind of reminds me of the Japanese Spider-Man when he calls his mech that he had, as one does in the 70s in Japan. Everybody had a mech lying around. So
I mean, who doesn't have a mech lying around?
I wish I had a mech lying around. You know what? You don't have to worry about social distancing when you have a goddamn mech.
Right. I could just stay in my mech all day. It's great.
Yeah,
And
you
I'm
go to
also
Whole
like-
Foods,
and I'm
people are
also
going to be 6 feet away from you.
Right. And I'll be like at least 15 feet above the ground from them.
Yeah.
And I can go outside. I can go sit at the lake and just be free.
For the record, all this anti-mask nonsense would evaporate if there were people walking around in robot suits and some people weren't. Like the people who were like, "I want my freedoms," and they were just like, "Cool, you can stay on foot," and then you just fly off into the distance, just fly away. Like, it would totally reframe the argument about who everyone would want to have a PPE robot of some kind to walk around the world, because you just would look real stupid out there with your fucking "give me freedom" or "give me death" poster while everyone's kind of flying around. Walking around, jumping and building the building and stuff. You look real silly.
I thought people were joking about the "Give me freedom" or "Give me death"
No.
posters, and
No.
like I saw the first picture of somebody, and I was like, "Please let this be Photoshop," because like you're gonna get death. That's what we're trying to avoid.
No, and that's why all of a sudden, like what they've been doing after this is like the one time the media has been mildly responsible. They'd be like, "Here's this, look, there's this giant COVID thing, and people are like doing this," and then they're like, literally like 2 days later, and the lead organizer posted is now positive for COVID.
I always feel really bad when I see people post on Facebook like somebody going, "Oh, it's a liberal plot against whatever," and then the next picture is like a screenshot of their memorial. And I feel bad because you're not supposed to laugh. It is not funny. It is a tragedy because it is a loss of human life. But also so avoidable.
Well,
Like if it was a video game, that would be the part where you wouldn't laugh out loud, but you'd like snort a little and then move on.
yes, I can see that. For sure, I can see that. My thing is like I don't find ignorance or willful ignorance funny. And every time I see one of those people, it always is just like I can't help but think of all the people around them who they may or may not have harmed without against their will, because that's just it. It's kind of like, when you're smoking and you're smoking outside, you're also incorporating people in who did not consent to that.
Yeah, but there are still people who think that the idea of consent is liberal bullshit.
Correct. But if you frame it as, do you want this? Do you not want this? Do you want somebody doing this to you? Then they're like, "Oh, wait, no, I don't." I'm like, "Oh, well, you do understand consent when it
Yeah.
applies to you."
I actually had my first wave of Twitch trolls where they're like, "Hey, are you feminists? Debate me." And they were like trying to tell me that they have found the flaw in feminism, and what it really was consent culture, which was really weird because I had just played some Streets of Rage, and then I was doing some Twitch things, and then they just flew in like, "I think we should have a debate of ideas because freedoms," and I was like, this is it was literally one of those like, this is a Wendy's, sir. Like, I'm singing show tunes on the internet. Like,
Right, you're in the wrong place. I'm just not gonna debate you.
and what was weirder was a person subscribed after I pretty much ignored them in my chat room. Like, I was like, don't engage. Like, we're not having this. It's, but I feel like it's getting worse. But I think it's because Twitch they made that like council of people,
Yeah.
and people are now mad at that.
Even though that council doesn't
Mhm.
have real
Empowered.
authority
Yeah.
or anything or
Right.
anything. They just basically say, hey, Twitch, we think you should do this. This is an issue. Here are some suggestions. And Twitch can be like, or okay.
It's
Right.
like, thank you for these suggestions, and they just like throw it in a pile. in the
Also,
back.
Right.
also, it's a really strange reaction. Like the immediate reaction was that all of a sudden that Twitch's the safety council is gonna throw its weight around, and we're gonna be at the mercy of a small group of people. And I'm just like, when did Twitch ever? What? Like they didn't
You're
out, like
already at the
Twitch is
mercy of a
owned
small
by-
group of people.
right.
Because the owners of Twitch, like one of the lead investors, didn't he let his girlfriend punch a dog or something? Like,
I was like, do you not know who owns Twitch? Like, literally, it's a subsidiary. It's under Amazon.
Right. The idea that Twitch would at least put out a handful of people who you can recognize as having your interest at heart is a courtesy because, again, like you said, they're owned by Amazon. And Twitch
Yeah.
is as corporate as you can get. If you've ever seen their offices in San Francisco, they are as corporate as you can get. I don't think we realize this. This is no longer a grassroots operation.
I mean, it never was.
It never
I mean,
was.
Well,
And-
when it was Justin TV, like I've been on Twitch since it was Justin TV,
Right.
and that's when it was quote unquote small. But even then, it had all this venture capital money, and it was, already corporate, which is why they build it up to sell it.
right.
Right. So I don't.
Which is also weird that people are like, "Oh, all these other people are invading Twitch. It's not about games." It's like, yeah, but Twitch wasn't originally about games.
No.
It's just
No.
something that they decided to concentrate on.
Right. And even now, like, it's not just about games. There's whole subsections of Twitch. But
Yeah.
people don't like looking outside of my little bubble.
There are people who don't realize that there are people who use Twitch who don't like shooters or don't like fighting games or don't like,
That's me.
yeah.
That is me. I don't do those things. I'm like, it's actually really funny because it's something that I need to personally get over because I already know that like other Twitch streamers just do this. We all know that and Nigella knows that I put like 240 hours into a game.
Right.
About 140 hours of that is me just running around doing nothing. I mean, it's not doing nothing. I'm like gathering stuff or crafting or just level grind.
Well,
Yeah, I just spend 140 hours just doing grinding,
isn't
which
that-
isn't necessary, but it's necessary for me.
Wait, I don't
I mean,
understand.
that's the game. That's the point.
Well, I was about to say, what are people doing if they're not doing that?
I mean, I'm still playing Crackdown 2.
Right.
Well, not Crackdown 2, ew. The original Crackdown since it launched.
Right.
Oh. And I play hours and hours on time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You might have the you might be preaching to the choir here. If I'm playing a single player game, I'm emptying it all out for the most part.
People still play Skyrim
Right.
on people right now. When these new consoles drop, they're going to be like, but are they going to port Skyrim to it?
I mean,
Right. And that, like I said, I just have to get used to that because I'm just like, but I'm not doing anything. That's not like, entertaining, but I have to stop thinking of it as me because I don't find watching video games entertaining and just play my games normally.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, like, I have like a style of gameplay when I'm streaming and a style of gameplay when it's just me. Like, I watch a lot of like Cities Skyline, and like they do a lot of like this beautiful like detailing, and I think that's cool. But like if I'm just playing the game, like I'm not doing any of that crap. Like this it's not gonna look good. It's just I want to like have I do a lot of supply chain with industries and public transportation because that's like my thing. But I know if I did that on stream, nobody wants to watch that.
You know what's funny is I think that we've gaslit so many people into not realizing what bad gameplay looks like, because you and Bacon just described playing a game, and you're both like, oh well, nobody wants to watch that. That's absolutely untrue. You guys are just playing a game. It's just funny that there's so much grief for kind of going off the beaten path that you guys would think that. The thing that what's really bad is actually objectively bad gameplay. If you're engaging the game, then and someone calls it bad, that means they're looking at the wrong genre. If you're manipulating supply chains and city skylines, then what the fuck else are you supposed to fucking do in fucking city skylines?
Well, a lot of people are like they make a beautiful to look at city.
Yeah, no. As a person who lives in cities, I wouldn't mind better infrastructure. As someone who came from a big, ugly old city, I would have much better if Trash City had better infrastructure. I would much better if America had better infrastructure.
They actually now added in City Skylines like mail and trash, like better like trash delivery systems and stuff. So you could very detailed have like recycling, trash collection, incineration. If they get down to the nitty gritty, and it's just great.
Oh, so what you're saying is that you in City Skylines you can actually make it so you're Seattle.
Yes, they actually have DLC that's all about green cities, and a lot of it is actually modeled after cities in Europe and Seattle. So the eco they have city ordinances that are like almost exactly what Seattle has with their recycling program.
Yeah, the recycling program here for sure is like top notch. Like it's really good, but at the same time, the fines behind it are really aggressive, which is good to a point.
But if you're in City Skylines, that's great because that is so much more revenue for your city.
I think what I like about it mostly here is that it actually targets businesses and not just properties, not just like home properties.
Yeah, well, like you could do taxation based on the density, but also the zoning. So you have like high density, low density, and mid density for commercial, industrial, and residential. I really wish they could do like mixed zoning, but maybe later.
Right. And I would watch that for the record.
This is all really good stuff that you could do on your Twitch stream, which is like, as you're saying, like, just as you're saying to me, like, as I'm talking about grinding, like, through, like, on Final Fantasy 12, like, I was literally just level grinding in between hunting down monsters. And, like, I would just be doing that for literally, like, 8 hours. And I was just like, nobody's going to want to watch me do the exact same thing for 8 hours, but it's literally just playing the game.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I literally had people tell me, like, you're boring. Like, that's why I don't stream City Skylines anymore.
Oh, no. Don't. Listen, those people, if you do, I make me and Bacon and I mods for your stream, for your Twitch stream, if you do that, because you can't, that's just playing the game. If you look at someone playing City Skylines, and it's not all, as you can play it a million ways, as long as you're engaging the system in a successful way, then you're playing City Skyline. It's just very funny that as a society, we're acceptable with someone who like plays Call of Duty and goes 5 and 20 every game while screaming into the microphone with like his girlfriend next to him as proper Twitch streaming. But someone who's actually creating the world's strongest infrastructure underneath the world's greatest city is considered boring. Like that's what I mean. It's a tragedy. You guys are just playing the games. You're grinding toward the thing. You're building toward the thing. You're gathering materials. The
But
point of the
I
game.
think you have to find people who will find it interesting, but it's just very hard to be found and find people.
I think that's where the tags actually are more useful, because I start getting final people because of Final Fantasy tags and MMORPG tags. So you have to try utilizing like the City Skylines tags. Like there's actually like built-in tags.
Yeah. Well, I think the city's community on Twitch is like, it's like a thing. It's very competitive. And
Oh no, all of it's competitive. Like even Sims Twitch is competitive.
well, I feel like that's different. Because like people can be competitive, but I think if you find your voice and like your way of doing it, people are really like hyped for somebody doing it their own way. Like some people do like a let's play more like, here's my storyline, let's try to do this storyline. Some people just like sit in creative sim. So a lot of people are builders, like just build like on stream. They're like, this is what I'm building, here's a list, and we're gonna do blah blah blah, and that's fine. And I've like tried different styles, and I just know that for me during The Sims, I usually want to show off characters that I've built, create Sims, and then like put them in my world. And usually it's harder to build because it's like I've been playing the same Sims save with the same, I guess, 6 or 7 families since January of 2018.
Yeah, I think you just also need to have your own like podcast segment just called Days of My Sims.
I actually had to stop doing that because I realized like I don't think a lot of people listen to the Cuntcast for like the tea on my Sims.
That's a fair.
Also, it sounds insane.
The whole point of any game is to make it should be. I mean, the games like this is just to create your own story. Whether it's a story of your Sims or your apparently 7 generations of Sim families or the world's greatest city. It's your story.
I think I'm on 29 generations.
Well,
I have a little notebook. Let me see.
I remember hearing about them originally. I remember. I would
I
like
actually
to
do. Here are the generations. I wrote them.
See, that's cool.
Track of them. So yes, I hand wrote the family tree.
I remember you mentioning Brandon Urie ruining your family initially years ago, and then it just kind of. I think you've kind of let
the same family. So all the kids that had the last name Urie, like that has died out, and they nobody ever looks like him anymore. Thankfully.
The gene pool has returned.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's why I don't play with mods. Because Brandon Urie Sim knocked up my Sim daughter, and my self Sim only had the one child.
So your one Sim child was knocked up by Brandon Urie with his T-Rex arms, and then you've spent over 2 years trying to rectify the genetic mistake that was Brandon Urie injecting himself literally into your family's gene pool.
Yes.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
Knocked her up in a bush.
That is classy.
And the worst part is like my whole point when I started was like I want to have like the perfect daughter. So she was a straight A student. She was a perfect Cub Scout. She had a great reputation. She was like a model Sim. All she wanted was that pop punk dick. She never could keep a job. All she did was spend his money and pop out babies. She ended up having, what was it? 13 kids.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay. Well, I guess that compact baby body frame must allow for a lot of torque, I guess.
Yeah. And it was like 5 generations and the kids were still looking like him. So I had to like aggressively match them with I guess I'm not gonna say contracting features, but some better looking features.
See, that's what I mean. You becoming like the matriarch in a period piece because Brandon Urie's in your gene pool is a good story. Like whatever lengths you're willing to go to. I mean, that's
I also became the villain in my own story.
right. Because you're trying to wash out features out of a gene pool. There's no way you can do that in a congenial manner. Like, I don't like these features in my gene pool is inherently a problematic statement. It's a heel turn. It's the beginning of a heel turn one way or the other, even if you mean
like
well.
my literal self sim became a monster. Like, as soon as that sim child stopped being perfect, like my sim was really mean to her own kid. Like, when she was gonna have her first baby, like I moved her out of the house like to hide the shame and put her in this like broken dinky apartment. And then she went into labor and she basically was like, oh, come and like join me as I have the baby at the hospital. And my sim self showed up, like looked, it was like, and like left. She just turned her back on her and left. I was like, no, why? So yeah, The Sims could break your heart, which is why it's my favorite game. Yeah. There's a lot of drama. Which is very weird because I don't like reality television, but I love The Sims, which like a lot of my friends who do love reality television were like, I would watch this show.
Right.
With my crazy, crazy Sims.
Will they ever recover?
I imagine the flyby of your city and you having your compound.
Well, there's multiple cities. So there's like the Ree family, and then some families married. So like there's the Ree family, the Johnson family. There were the Uris, which were like the kids that she had like a little later, who I'm like, I didn't pay as much attention to them, so like they weren't as good. They were kind of shitty Sims. And so it was basically like 6 families that are of my bloodline, my Sim self's bloodline. And so I have like the Rees, which are like the richy rich people, because my Sim self was an author and I found a way without cheating, and she was a millionaire. And they've just been passing that money down for generations. So they're very old money, very classy people. And then I have like the kind of younger upstarts that were like the Johnsons. And so they're not as new money. So all the Rees don't really like the Johnsons, but they're cousins. So I realize that I'm very, very engrossed in little fake people.
They're not fake people. It's an ongoing story, and that's kind of, it's funny because I used to play games professionally, and one thing I realize as I'm getting older is I need context for whatever the fuck I'm doing now in a video game. Like the idea that I can like go on Call of Duty and play as like an anonymous military guy in like a rat cage with another anonymous military guys and shoot at each other until we all fall over is done. Everything I do needs to have a story behind it, and everything is better for having a story behind it. So it's absolutely the best use of The Sims.
Years ago, you used to make fun of me because I'm like, I can't play a game without a story.
Right. I used to do that, and now I'm the opposite. I need to be some. One of the reasons why I even like this year's Call of Duty is because all the operators have stories, and some of them are real people.
The funny thing to me about this is like I have been railing at Aaron for how long?
17 years.
Yes, about like changing the types of games that he plays, and now during quarantine, he finally has, and I'm just
No,
like, yeah.
no. I always have. I just don't. The
I
thing,
remember I tried to get you to play Tales of Symphonia, and you were like, "What is this bullshit?"
I
basically.
it's funny because I had Tales of Symphonia.
Like,
No, the one on GameCube, and the one on GameCube. Which Tales game was on GameCube?
Yeah,
There's
Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah, I own that game. I beat that game. I think you might be mixing me up. I like that game. That's why I have Tales of Vesperia.
Well, it's not that you didn't like it. You were saying,
Oh no, yeah, it's not.
you are good at games, and the way that game and its story progressed made you feel like it invalidated your being good at games.
Oh yeah, no,
Because like, I don't want to get into spoilers, but the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
happened.
Oh no, that game's old enough. We can spoil it.
Yeah, it's almost a decade and some change old. You can throw the story. Listen,
That game has been ported 16 times.
I'd like to formally apologize to the one person who is having the game spoiled for you right now. We're about to spoil Tales of
Hey.
Symphonia. It's about to
Well,
go down.
I still
I'm
feel
sorry.
bad, so I'm gonna vaguely spoil it. But when you
Okay,
have your character that you put so much into, and then that character, turns out to be someone unexpected, that's still kind of spoilery.
You can-
No, that's not. There are so many characters that could apply to that it's
Right.
fine.
Yeah, but because the way the game kind of manipulates you into building this one character up, because you feel so bad for them, and then you get totally screwed over.
You
I
get
think-
hella screwed over.
But I feel like that is good game design.
You
I don't feel like that's
over.
invalidating.
You get screwed over by two different characters, but apparently there's a way to like work out one of them. And I've done it.
I'm talking about the one that there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do. Yeah, that one there's nothing you can do. But like that's one of the reasons I love the Tales games, like specifically. It's so good.
But I feel like I'm very addicted to that type of game design. Like, reel me in, break my heart, and I'll love you forever.
I mean,
Like, even the original Crackdown, which I play to this day, I think I liked it because of originally it's a very simple game, but the way they told the story with the very simple game mechanics, I just really admired. I feel like you don't get that as much in some genres, shooters, but it can happen. What was the one where the guy's going crazy?
Elaborate.
Spec Ops: The Line, the greatest military shooter of all time, for that exact reason. Yes, Spec Ops: The Line. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I remember I'm not good at shooters. They actually kind of make me a little motion sick.
Right.
So I
Fair.
had my ex play through it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't like this game," and I'm like, "I just want to see what happens. Can't you just do it?" So I can see what happens.
Honestly, it's not a shooter, but it has enough shooter elements. It's basically a action adventure game, BioShock. The first BioShock specifically. As problematic as that fucking game is, like, that game both had so many twists and turns and freaked me the hell out that's like one of the more surprising games for me, to be honest.
I've never finished that game myself.
I actually played it past the controller style with my boyfriend at the time, because he was introducing me into like different genres of video games, and I was introducing him into like my extremely heavy JRPGs. But we would play it past the controller, and like I will never forget like walking into that room of the mannequins.
Yes.
And then like you walk in the room and shit's gonna happen. Like but like the lights are flickering and you're moving through it, but like the thing you need is in the bathroom in the mirror. And my
That's
boyfriend at the
all
time,
good. I just feel like it's such good game design. Like,
no,
Right.
it is such a good. And so like you go through it and you keep turning around and they're not moving, but it's actually triggered by you opening up the mirror and
Right.
pulling the item out, and then you turn around and like there's a person right there. And I jumped, screamed while shooting.
I'm not good. I can't do a jump scare. Like,
Yeah, the worst part is it was a jump scare you knew that was gonna happen,
Mhm.
but you knew it was gonna happen, but you just like the game was so good at teasing out the win. Like there just wasn't like
You-
the first BioShock had better timing than any of the others.
You know what it is? It's that particular scene was in BioShock, what it did, it would drip feed you people who were farther and farther gone. And then
Yeah.
you wouldn't think, and then the idea that someone that isn't a mannequin like a ghost, it's a person dressed up like a mannequin, which is fucking weird. It's just
it
if
is
it was
so
a,
much worse than actual.
it's so much worse than a mannequin or anything normal, even if like the mannequin came to life or anything like that. It's,
Right,
it's a
and it wasn't
person.
even just one. As soon as you left the room, like half the room was actually like, oh, by the way.
We've been niggas dressed up like mannequins the whole time. What up? Attack!
Right. It was so it was just like I just
Right.
remember like it was one of those extreme emotive moments because like you knew the jump scare was coming, but there was no way to predict. There was like no way to tell how and why.
It's games like that, which is why I love that there is a place like Twitch or YouTube or so I could watch somebody else play it because I know I physically can't.
Mm-hmm.
The way my anxiety is, it's just not gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
I tried to play Outlast on stream, and
Oof. Mm-mm.
they were just like, "Just play a different game. Like stop. Like you're not having fun."
No,
But I could watch somebody play.
no,
and-
BioShock, that first one actually snuck in under my anxiety because like it the whole game didn't fuck with my anxiety, but there were moments where it did. So it was just like there was just enough give and take for me to like not die.
I have a working theory about that. I think the reason why some games spike your anxiety is when they hamstring you in a way that's unnatural. Because some games, they lead you along, like say like BioShock. You have the ability to move and defend yourself and do things. So you can kind of respond to things even though everything's still bigger than you. But something like Outlast, you get winded in like 2 seconds. You can't jump. You can't climb. You can't pick things up. You can't push guys over. Even when their backs to you and they're over a ledge, you can't do anything in the game. And,
Alien Isolation almost killed me.
right, Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation, you could do a bunch of stuff. You just can't take the alien, so you get a flamethrower. And even then, it starts getting mad. And you don't even want to. You don't want to go toe to toe with the motherfucker.
Yeah. I can't do it. Like Alien Isolation is so scary for me. I tried it. I tried it with my best friend. We tried doing it past the controller, and then we both just ended up like under blankets with the controller, like on the table. And we're like, no, I can't do this.
Alien Isolation is like an episode of Black Mirror because do you know how much of the game you can walk around calmly if you don't have the motion sensor on you ever? The amount of the game you can just walk around. The alien tracks the motion sensor and triggers in the level. So when you're like, where's the alien? And you pull your motion sensor out, the alien's like, oh, I'm right here. But if you don't pull it out, you can just walk through a huge chunk of the game. It's a very funny trick they play on you, and that's kind of what it's kind of what you mean. It's like the game. What we're kind of all talking about is like the game design kind of tricks you into fucking yourself up in a really organic way. And that's the problem with Outlast. Outlast is like you can't run, you can't jump, you can't climb, you can't hold a 2x4, you can't push a guy.
Yeah, and Outlast, like you don't have like the powers of a guy,
of
like,
a dude. Yeah,
you're way worse than just being a regular person.
yeah, you're worse
because
than
you don't make any good choices.
exactly.
And then you start losing fingers and whatnot.
Right.
This sounds all terrible. Absolutely not.
I'll always say Outlast 1 and 2 are terrible games. People love them. I say Outlast 1 and 2 are two of the worst games I've ever played because the design is shitty. Like it's a survival horror because your dude is so impotent on so many levels that it's confusing and it frustrates you. And then someone's trying to kill you with a hatchet and their dick out. It's very, very
Which
unnerving.
I kind of feel like pick one. Very threatening. What is enough? I'm afraid with the hatchet and I'm very afraid with the dick.
Like, please have the hatchet or the dick, please. Not
Exactly.
us. No, not both. One or the other. There needs to be
I
some.
blame Manhunt because that was a game that really decided to just
Okay, Manhunt is a horrible game.
it is one of the few games where it's like I felt bad about myself because having played it. And
Yeah.
I never beat it because when Piggy jumps out, he has a chainsaw, a pig head on his head, and a swinging pendulous penis. And I was just like, nope. I just put the controller down. I'm like, I'm not. I want to do this. Because it's bad enough in Manhunt. You see like people on the street and they're like, can't wait to get home to my kids. I'm just here being completely innocent.
Oh yeah.
I really love being alive. And then the dude in your ear is like, fucking kill him. I want to see their blood. I'm like, what is this?
Right.
This
No,
is fun.
a horrible game. And it's so like even teenage not woke at all bacon was just like, nah, this game's problematic as fuck. Fuck this game.
I couldn't. So Crackdown, the first one, kind of had a mechanic like that where there's like the voice of the fascist, but you could turn it off. And I realized I was way worse a person with the voice off than with the voice constantly encouraging me to violence.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. I thought it was an interesting mechanic.
I didn't know you could turn the voice off.
Yeah,
I didn't think you could turn the voice off.
yeah, you could toggle it on and off.
Huh. Oh wow, that makes Crackdown story way more impactful if you can actually just do all that shit and then you just did all that shit by yourself and they're like, ha, tool of fascism, what up? And you're like, oh shit, you didn't even tell me to. Damn. You didn't tell me to do none of this.
Well, I mean,
Right.
I guess spoilers for a very old
Here's the
game.
deal. We're spoiling SmackDown on this SmackDown. We're spoiling Crackdown on this show. That's 100%. There are no warnings. We're going to spoil Crackdown. It's an Xbox 360 launch title. We're spoiling Crackdown for the
I know,
audience.
but it's such a good game. It's like
It's
my favorite game.
fantastic.
But once you have to shoot an old lady in the face, you should know that maybe you're not the good guy.
I
The fact
mean,
that you arrest no one.
listen, you're getting into some semantics here. I just want you to understand this.
There's no mechanic to arrest anyone. And even the peace officers that you're working, I guess, in tandem with, which you could also kill. But
You
they
kill
also don't arrest anybody. They just shoot gang members.
Yes.
It's like, so that whole like, guess what? You were fascism the whole time. Was like, duh. But apparently people were like, oh, le gasp.
I mean, I like
And then
it.
they made Crackdown 2, which we don't acknowledge.
We don't talk about it.
Crackdown 2 doesn't exist.
And then Crackdown 3 is like, woo, neoliberalism. I mean, I still enjoy Crackdown 3. It wasn't good enough for that long a wait, especially because it feels like half a game, and I know I'm not getting any more.
It's funny. It's one of those games that validated the Game Pass thing more in a weird way. Like it was kind of like, well, people were like, this game sucks, and I was like, well, it's like free if you have the Game Pass. If you're part of it, it's like you can. It's
Like,
so
I never
free,
bought it. I just have Game Pass.
right? So
Which-
it's go on.
Game Pass finally came in handy because of quarantine and me now living with my parents and quarantining with them. My parents are trying to like get into stuff I like, which is hilarious results. I
That's
played
precious.
Mortal Kombat with my mom, and she was very upset when I kicked her head off. She took it very personally, and I'm like,
That's my favorite thing about playing Mortal Kombat with someone. They don't know how to play, but they are furious when you disembowel them. They are furious when you disembowel them. You kick somebody's head off and they get mad, but I'm like, you don't even know, you literally have been mashing one button this whole time, but you're mad.
I let her actually win the next round, and she floating on air. And like the next, I think maybe a couple days later, the Mortal Kombat movie was on Netflix, and I walked downstairs. My parents were just watching it, and they didn't know it was a Mortal Kombat movie. They just thought that it looked like a good movie, which says so much about my parents.
Wait, which Mortal Kombat movie?
The original Mortal Kombat movie, Mortal Kombat 1.
With Robin Shou and all that?
Yes. It's about a kung fu tournament. Come watch this movie we discovered.
It literally starts off with the Mortal Kombat theme song, the old classic Mortal Kombat theme. It's very funny.
Oh my
They've
God.
never heard it. So I walked downstairs, they're watching it. And then once like my mom started recognizing people, she's like, well, if I was playing as the blue guy, he would have won. And I was like, really? I let you win one round with him. One round.
That's why you don't let things win.
You can't let people win. Yeah, you can't let the elders win. Now you can inspire your mom to get Xboxes in the house, so there are extra Xboxes, and then just it begins.
With the Game Pass now, they're like, Mortal Kombat is too violent for them because we played again, and apparently my mom had a nightmare and smacked my dad in the middle of the night. So she's been vetoed from Mortal Kombat. But now that I have Game Pass, I can like look, and I've downloaded like Humans Fall Flat and like different puzzle games because like my parents do not want any violence. Any violence. Well, not any violence, a little violence. Like my dad played Streets of Rage with me for a little bit, but once like the knives came out and he saw me like stab somebody, he was like, yeah, I don't like this. So we had to find something non-violent. Though I did end up like showing him The Sims 4, and we built a very ugly house. Very proud of his very, very ugly house. It's like a 4-room shack, but it has a bomb patio and porch. It makes very little sense.
That patio and porch.
I wish when you had Game Pass, you could like look up titles by like, I need a game for my violent adverse family members who want to mash buttons and want to feel like they won quickly.
Like a questionnaire is like, who is playing? My mother. Well, how many hands does she use when she plays? 1. Is she angry? Yes.
Yes. Soul Calibur.
You know, I couldn't get them to play Soul Calibur because I think Mortal Kombat really soured them to the fighting genre as a whole. Maybe I should have started with like Street Fighter or something else, but they're not touching fighting games. I even tried to show them Injustice because I'm like, you know who Superman is?
Well, Injustice might be a bad choice because they be taking chunks out of each other in that violent ass game for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh wait, then I forgot. In Soul Calibur, you knock each other's clothes off.
You knock each other's clothes off when you make a character, because sometimes you will knock, like, you'll break someone's armor, but when you make a character, for some reason their clothes are very flimsy and everyone's in their underwear and after about round 1.
That's because the different clothing options have different durability.
Yeah, that's also, I'm not gonna lie to you.
But mostly I think it's because they know preteen boys are gonna make all kinds of little maid ladies.
Right.
Honestly, 30-year-old guys.
I'm trying not to think about that.
No,
right.
No, we're diving in because I have to play games with these people. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I made my brother made a character named Donovan, which is like this very buff, mahogany fleshed Yao boy. Like he's like in a little maid uniform. And every time I take that character for online play, just like rage quit. So yeah, you're right. 30-year-olds.
I remember complaining about that in Soul Calibur to my brother, who's I think 50 now, and he didn't understand what I was talking about. We got into an argument about it, and I'm just like, you shouldn't, just because I put on a dress, it shouldn't get blown off in one immediate blow to the chest in half of round one, and I'm sitting here spending the rest of the time in goddamn underwear. Like, you don't think that's silly? Like getting my dress that I put on blown off in one attack? One?
I think Soul Calibur first needs to make clothes that aren't ugly as sin.
Well,
And I know this is the simmer in me, but like I can't play games with ugly avatars now.
Oh, I agree with
Like,
you.
I can't do Grand Theft Auto 5 because you can't make a good looking character.
No, you
have
cannot.
you not seen my characters? All of my characters are cute.
That
All
would-
of my characters and everything. I have to play. Character customization is important.
you know, it's funny. That's
It
why I
is
don't
very
play.
important to me.
That's why I don't play Dark Souls. Because
Oh yeah, you can't make a cute
No,
cutie in Dark Souls.
I have made a pretty character in Dark Souls, and so did my best friend. It just took 2 hours.
I would love to see it.
That's
What color was
a
that person?
lot.
Because I know when I tried to
It
pick
was
a
an
black.
actual real brown. I made more of a reddish brown, but
Right.
one that looked natural, not fake.
Right, that's what I mean. It takes you 2 hours to get through all the 40 shades of brown skin, including mud and chocolate, to sort of kind of
No,
synthesize
you have to
something.
make custom colors.
Right.
On that note, okay, everybody, hard stop. I have to go. I have businessy things to do. I have meetings to metasize, and I have therapy to therapize. I have to go. We're ending. Goodbye.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
And here's your weekly reminder that the most delicious name in podcasting is also the most delectable name in the art world. Visit etsy.com/shop/lost-in-pandemonium for the latest prints, posters, bookmarks, notepads, and more from our very own bacon. That's etsy.com/shop/lost-in-pandemonium. It reminds me of an ancient African proverb. Help bacon buy cake.